The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And good Wednesday morning, and welcome to a Hump Day edition of Analyze This here on your NPR station, the U.S. Virgin Islands, WTJX FM. With yours truly, we've got the Department of Education, top shutter in the house, on the heels of a commissioner's corner last night. She decided to just take things over here at WTJX Radio. Good morning, Commissioner Dionne Wells-Hedrington, out of St. John. How are you?
I am well. Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Got a young lady here in the house with you?
With me in-house is our new superintendent for the St. Croix District, Dr. Sharlene Gonzalez. I skip out the Belton, but it's Belton-Gonzalez. You can introduce yourself.
Good morning. Yes, as the commissioner said, I am Dr. Sharlene Belton-Gonzalez, also known as Dr. Gonzalez. Happy to be here this morning.
Good morning, Superintendent. Glad to have you here.
And,
Thank you.
and online.
Yeah, I think we got also Commissioner Jürgen's online as well.
Yes, our superintendent, Dr. Stefan Jürgen for the St. Thomas St. John District is also online and joining us today.
Good morning, Mr. Scandinavian. How are you? Stefan Jürgen. Good morning, sir. It looks like we're dealing with a technical issue there. Hopefully we could make that happen, make that work in a little bit. So, Commissioner, how's the department?
The department is running. We began with some hurdles. But we are happy to be back in session. Our students are in school, our teachers are in school, and we're looking forward to an exciting school year. We have been pushed back, and not the best start that I would like to see. We began with some hurdles internally with some of our infrastructure challenges, as you're aware, and then here came Tropical Storm Ernesto. So right now, as I was reflecting this morning, our students have already lost about a week of school already. That has to be made up. And so we're hoping that moving forward, we'll be able to out the unexpected fires that we have, but really focus in on teaching and learning.
That's good. Commissioner Gonzalez, Superintendent Gonzalez, what's your primary goals as the district leader here on the Big Island?
Well, it's teaching and learning. My focus is on kids and just making sure that kids receive the instruction and that they receive the learning that they deserve. And so this week, after the tropical storm, my main focus is just being at schools and getting into classrooms and seeing what's going on. Making myself transparent so that the people on the campuses and schools everywhere know who I am and know that I'm going to be showing up and checking and making sure that teaching and learning is going on each and every day.
Your background is from where? Where you from originally?
Well, a lot of places. I was born in Arizona, raised in Oklahoma, and my entire career in education has been in Texas. I taught for 12 years, and I've taught everything from pre-K all the way up to graduate courses for undergraduates. And then I spent 4 years as an assistant principal and 3 years as a director for bilingual and ESL programs. And then I spent another 3 years as a high school principal before becoming a coordinator supporting 6 schools for English learners. And then now I am here.
How'd you get to the Virgin Islands?
I saw a need. I, I responded to an ad and applied, had my interview, and here we are.
You want to talk about that process, Commissioner?
Sure. So we posted the position after Superintendent Dr. Herman left. We posted the position on various platforms, one of them to include Indeed. And Dr. Gonzalez, along with 4 other applicants, applied for the position, and they were interviewed by a panel. And a selection was made of Dr. Gonzalez as well as a new deputy superintendent, which is Andrea Schillingford for the St. Croix district.
No. What's is the structure still the same as you inherited it, Commish, in terms of leadership?
Leadership has remained the same. What shifted in St. Croix was when Dr. Herman resigned, and that's when we advertised the position and was aggressively looking for a replacement.
Is Superintendent Jürgen on the line? Good morning, Superintendent. How are you? No? I guess not. I'm still working on that. So, Commissioner, I have a reputation of going easy on my guests, but I can't go easy with you on this one. When we were growing up, the school them used to get paint every summer. What happened in 2024, man? Oh God, man. I've been in St. Thomas. I went to check Lolo down there by the chicken shack there in Cantant, and I see Olamala. Oh God. Please tell me that we're gonna do something during the Christmas break or something with the school them.
So we very good questions, and you don't have to go easy on me. I can handle pressure.
Okay.
The painting contracts are out for bid. Yes, it took a long time. One of the biggest delays that we had was using our ARPA funding, so we had to go back to U.S. Department of Education to make revisions in terms of the plans that were already slated for some of the American Rescue Plan funding. That took some time, and then it went through the solicitation process, which also takes time with DPP. And now I believe they have a vendor that's going to take care of the St. Thomas St. John district. In the St. Croix district, it's a little bit different. 3 schools are going to be taken care of over here, and they're going to phase in schools every year moving forward.
Okay, but let me backtrack.
Mm-hmm.
The Commissioner Youth may be dead, but the plan to hire young people, if there's one job they knew was available for our young people, was painting school in the summertime. Is there any way we could get back to that?
So we do have students that work with us during the summer from Department of Labor's program, LIFT program. They did do other maintenance stuff, not the painting. We did do some interior painting, but the exterior painting of our facilities is being outsourced.
That is a done deal. In other words, that's a decision that your agency made, and we're sticking with it regardless of if there are obstacles that undermine the ability to provide inspiration with a fresh coat of paint to start the school year.
I don't think anything is a done deal. We have opportunities to pivot if that's the course that we want to take. Part of what the maintenance directors did was, prioritize what can be done in-house versus what can be done outside, and they chose to solicit for the exterior painting. So, that's not something that we cannot revisit, and definitely have the conversation with our new executive director of the Bureau as part of his plans as he develops them to include that part as well.
Superintendent Jürgen, good morning. Welcome to Analyze This.
Top of the morning to you. Hope all is well. And I just wanted to add to what Dr. Wells was mentioning. We did have a smaller version of what we used to have. Not just the painting, but students were assigned to carpentry, electricity. It was a really, really good program. That was my introduction to education. I was working with the electrician. So I could change a little balance. I could change a light bulb, an outlet. So it's a really, really good program. But we do want to have it on a larger scale.
Now, you and I know about optics. The public can't see what's going on inside the classroom, but they could see the exterior
True.
for schools. That's the reason why, to me, from an optics perspective, superintendent, the school painting to me is an easy way to show that there's a department commitment during the summertime to getting the schools back to at least a better levels than it was left in May,
Low
June.
hanging fruit.
Excuse me?
A low hanging fruit.
Yeah. So
I understand.
yeah, so I was just a little. I'm gonna be honest with you. That was hurtful because the as someone who benefited from youth commission, that's what we used to call it, youth commission. And I actually didn't work at the schools. I worked at our recreational facilities. That was and commission. I want to speak to this on a personal level. We're talking 45, 50 years ago. Programs that were successful for some reason were abandoned, and the argument that we've regressed in terms of things that benefited the territory seems to be a very easy argument that we need to actually reverse because we need to see progress.
So I agree, and I know that the Department of Labor has scaled back on the amount of students that they hire. But we have received, and maybe we need to look at ways that we could expand the program. I am quite familiar with the program. I actually worked on schools during my high school career. And so we did do those maintenance, low-hanging things. And so that's not something that we cannot revisit. I know that it's all dependent on funding, who's going to pay for the stipends, who's going to make sure that the funding is available. But I think if we're able to pool our resources together, it is something that the Department of Education and the Department of Labor can certainly partner on.
Okay, good. Let's talk curriculum. Superintendent Gonzalez, you mentioned English as a second language. Here in the territory, we have a melting pot of a population. We've got children from neighboring Puerto Rico, children from the Dominican Republic. We've got children who may be transitioning from the Eastern Caribbean. How long have you been at the job, Superintendent Gonzalez?
July or June, was it July 29th was my first day.
So you haven't been there a month?
Not even a month.
Okay, and so based on what you've seen so far in terms of our curriculum and what we provide in terms of educational resources, what's the priority?
Well, as I said, I've been in classrooms and just trying to observe and see what's already in place. And I do see a need for just working with teachers and developing their skills. And you mentioned English as a second language, and that's some of the things that I have been looking at as well. And it's just supporting the teachers and giving them some different strategies to work with our English learners. And really, the strategies that you use with English learners are strategies that would help any student, especially some students that might be falling a little bit behind. So as I'm going in these classrooms, I'm just thinking about specific professional development that we can provide to our teachers so that they have all the resources that they need so that they can be successful in the classrooms.
What's the situation in St. Thomas, St. John? With our Hispanic and French students, as relates to their background, Superintendent Jürgen?
Actually, in the St. Thomas St. John district, we have a very large population of ELLs that's actually growing to about 20% of the entire population now. So those are some things that we're really looking at. It's just various categories and making sure that we provide each category with the support that they need. One of the things that we've recognized just as of late is that in some cases we've kept students in the program for far too long, And so we recognize that we've had students in ELL, but they're also taking advanced placement. That shouldn't be. If a student has progressed to honors and advanced placement, then we need to really look at another placement that's more appropriate. So those are some of the things that we've just been looking at, and also understanding when it's appropriate to move them. Now, there are different factors that are taken into consideration, such as, the WIDA test scores, the standardized test scores, how they're progressing in ELA, and just a variety of other factors. But we need to make sure that we're monitoring those closely so that we know that when students can move, even during the year, it's beneficial to student movement in that area and not just staying in the program for years and years and years.
Commissioner, you've worked your way up through the ranks to your current position as a commissioner. You ain't a Juanita come lately. You paid your dues. You've dealt with that situation with students. But one of the things that I experienced, my daughter, she came here from Puerto Rico at the age of 8 and 9, actually, 2004. And they actually suggested you'd be surprised how quickly they'll assimilate just putting them in the classroom and not going into the ESL program. Just being around students will accelerate their learning a second language.
No, that's how it is now. So it's rarely that we have a total isolated pull-out system where they're in a classroom in a different setting. It's a lot of pushing in and supporting them within the classroom. And I just wanted to piggyback off of what Dr. Gonzalez said. It's important that we train all teachers, not just the ESL hired teachers, but all teachers on strategies to use in the classroom with those students who are in their particular classrooms. And so we've invested in professional development training on those strategies. So now it's important for us to monitor our teachers who are interacting with those students to see where there may be gaps that we need to go back and provide that additional support. But we don't have the luxury of having ESL teachers anymore. We have teacher shortages. So that's something, a particular discipline or position that's hard to recruit. So what do you do in the interim when our numbers continue to rise? And so that's why we're training up all of our staff to have those strategies in their back pockets that they could apply when those students are in their classrooms.
Okay, good. We got Carla on the line, but we're going to head to a break. Carla, when we come back, we'll get you to ask your questions to the Department of Education leadership. We've got Commissioner Dionne Wells-Hedrington out of St. John here in the studio, along with Superintendent Bettina. That's your first name? Belton-Gonzalez.
Belton, yes.
Right? Belton
Yes.
Gonzalez. And also Superintendent Stefan Jürgen, my Scandinavian named friend in the St. Thomas, St. John district. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. And we're back here and analyze this. We've got the leadership for the Virgin Islands Department of Education, Commissioner Wells-Hedrington, along with Superintendents Gonzalez and Jürgen. What Assistant Commissioner there?
He's doing some rounds at our schools with our leadership that deals with safety. So he's meeting with principals and school monitors.
And that's
Victor Sohm the
third.
third.
Okay, good. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Analyze This.
Thank you. Good morning. I was going to play bad cop so you could stay as good cop.
Go right ahead. Thank you.
Sure. This question, and I'll take my answer off the air, but this question is for Superintendent Jürgen, who I know took the night school carpentry class. So I wanted to know, given that that's basically a make-work situation for the teachers, administrators, and clerical staff, but it has nothing to do with education for the students who pay quite a bit of money to take those classes, since he's fully aware that there's no operating machinery, tools, and that there were no supplies, and that the teachers were sort of left on their own to just try and struggle to do something. What he, now that he has firsthand experience of that, trying to do to make the night school vocational classes functioning. Okay, thank you. I'll take my call off here.
Thank you for the question, caller. Superintendent Jürgen, vocational education.
I really appreciate the question. I did. The college referencing a carpentry class that I took last year before at the Raphael Whitley Skills Center here in St. Thomas. We do offer a night program that offers various skills that you can come and you can learn, and it was a struggle getting through the course at the time because we were sharing the space with the Charlotte Amalia High School, and so they would use it in the day, would use it in the night. But I'm happy to report that that entire facility is moving down to the Raphael O. Whitley Skills Center, where we have purchased all new equipment, and so it should be much more outfitted for the various programs that we have. We've expanded on the program, and we also have, invested in the supplies that are needed there. So it is going to take maybe a month into school before we actually open. We're still waiting for some of the furniture and some of the equipment to arrive on island, and obviously that's a story in itself, but I am looking forward to the opening of that new facility in the old Gladys Abraham building on the western side of the island. So the caller can look forward to that program thriving, as well as many other programs that we've added.
Commish, since we're talking facilities, last year you were forced to close down some schools due to excessive heat. We've already experienced a storm as recently as a week ago. Global warming, climate change, whatever term is applicable. Is that a concern going forward for this school year as well? Because it looks like it's a little bit warmer in 2024 than it was in 2023.
It would always be a concern. We have in place several contracts for electrical upgrades. The two sites over here that were of extreme concern, well, there were actually three. It was Eulalie Riviera, Complex, and Central. At Eulalie Riviera, I think that's the worst of all the three, being that when the modulars were installed, it kind of blocked off the wind pattern. And so it's very still over there. And so we were able to procure the services of a vendor to do the electrical upgrades. We have a different vendor that's working on closing up the rooms because, it's designed to have that decorative wall that has to be closed off. You have to fix the windows and change the windows. And so that contract has already been issued as well. So work is going to begin on that campus. It's going to have to work around the school hours because it's school is in session, and that's the priority. In the interim, what we've done is we've installed ceiling fans in all of our rooms. We were able to get a donation from Home Depot of standing fans that have also been dispatched to the various schools to help to circulate the air. But again, that's warm air, right, that we're circulating. So until we get these upgrades done and these windows closed in, we already have the units that are ready to go. We should be able to see some movement by December at that particular site. Complex, we did the ceiling fans as well. That's a little bit different. Complex has already started the modernization, meaning the architects are in there and they're designing the new complex. And so we're not going to outfit that one with air conditioning fully throughout the school until all of the design work is finished, and then we're able to use the obligated money from FEMA for that project. Central High, we've done some work in installing and repairing the air conditioned units. We'll continue to monitor that. I believe that Mr. Milligan still has to work on the screens and making sure that it's insulated better in those rooms to avoid that condensation that we had been seeing. And we're going to have to troubleshoot as those issues arise. In the St. Thomas St. John district, we did the same. We're working on some air conditioning units. St. Thomas schools, for the most part, are AC'd. A lot of not functioning units at this time, but maintenance is aggressively working on that. Again, Home Depot donated some funds in that district as well. And so we were able to send them out to the schools to help with, the heat that we're experiencing. But if we continue to have those issues, I anticipate that the department will continue to be flexible and have to do these upgrades and changes as things arise.
What's the status on the new facilities? I think we got, 3 or 4 slated for the territory?
Right. So I had the pleasure of visiting the new Arthur Richards at Paradise.
Estate Adventure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's coming along. We actually have 7 structures out the ground. So that's why they'll be looking for. I don't need to see what you're doing underground. I need to see buildings going up. We were able to pour the utility building. They poured the gym, the commons, pre-K. They're working on a large retaining wall. And so that one is moving at a steady pace. We're finalizing the contract for the new Central High. And then we have...
To be built where in the actual area right now?
The opposite side. So we flip in the campus.
Okay.
Right. To avoid interruptions with our students. In the St. Thomas St. John district, we're about to execute the contract for the new Charlotte Amalia High School and the modernization of BCB. And then, like Dr. Jürgen mentioned, we have the Gladys Abraham project that is almost about 90% completed.
What is the Cohen Terrace?
Yeah, that's a current terrace. That's where the new skill center will be. It's about 90% completed construction-wise. We're waiting for equipment and a few minor changes that needed to be made by the contractor. So those are the active projects that we have. Currently, we do have a bundle out to bid. It's $1 billion bundle for the St. Thomas St. John district that includes rebuild projects such as Ivana Udorakan High School, Janie Tuitt, Alamala, the new headquarters, some of those types of projects. We're working on putting out the second bundle for education, which would include Julius E. Sprouse School on St. John, as well as the Myra Keaton Healthcare Center in one. And then we put out our $1 billion bundle in St. Croix in the first quarter of next year. So between January and March, that bundle should be ready to go.
2025.
Right.
Okay. Questions for the superintendent, starting with you, Superintendent Gonzalez. What motivates you every morning to want to be the superintendent at this point in your professional career?
Well, as an educator, as I said before, it's all about kids. And so just being able to have an opportunity such as this to make a positive impact on kids and their families.
Pull the microphone up a little bit so the public could hear you.
Do I need to repeat that last part?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
That's good.
Yes, and so I'm a mother myself, and I know that my children are the most important people to me, and so I understand what it is to serve kids and their families, because they are the most important people in their families' lives. And so, as a leader in this position, it gives me the opportunity to be of service, to service families and make sure that each and every child gets the best education that they deserve, the same type of education that I would want for my own children. So that's what motivates me. I lead as a parent to school-age children, and I lead as a servant leader. My job here is, and my purpose here is to provide service and to be of service to people, so that our kids are ready for when they're leaders of next year or whenever they graduate, whenever they move into the workforce. But I feel that it's an honor to be part of that, to be of service to families and to the teachers also. You know, we have to make sure our teachers are the number one point of contact for our children, and so we have to make sure that they're prepared. And so I consider that an honor to grow teachers and to build capacity in everything that they do every day.
Stefan Jürgen, what's the main motivator for you on a daily basis?
You know what? Don't let the Scandinavian name fool you. I am a Virgin Islander, born and raised. I've attended these same public schools, and these same schools is what has got me to where I am. I had a good, quality, solid education right here in the Virgin Islands. The experiences that I had in the Department of Education as a student motivated me to want to come back, to do the same and give back to my community. I want our children to have experiences that are going to transform their lives. And so my job right now is to remain focused with all the noise. Sometimes the conversation is so saturated about the infrastructure and this doorknob and this and that. We really have to spend the time focusing on what's most important, and that's teaching and learning. I want our children to have similar experiences. Our children need two things: experiences and exposure. And once they get those two things with some good quality instruction, they're going to be all right. Oftentimes, we stay in the negative, but I'm focused. I want our children to succeed. I want them to have a bright future. And we're in a transition period where we're talking about the buildings and all of those things, but the main goal is to make sure that our children have the opportunities and the experiences that's going to take them into their future so that they can go on and lead successful lives, and one day also make the choice to return to give back to the same community that nurtured them.
Commissioner, you want a piece of this?
Sure. So for me, it's a passion. I love children. I believe in public education. I say it often. I am public education proud. I believe in providing a quality education for our students, and I'm a vested Virgin Islander as well. I got 32 years in this department. I've done my deeds, as you said, and I really want the public education system to really serve our families, meaning not just teaching and learning, but developing the whole child, making sure that we provide a pathway for each individual child. I've said it to my team. When a child leaves us in 12th grade, I as commissioner should be able to say, Suzanne over there, she's headed to Georgia State University. She's studying so and so, and I'm going to keep my eye on her until she graduates. And if she graduates with a degree, then I should be able to partner with entities locally to attract our students to come back home. We have to be able to set a trajectory for all of our children. Yes, we have challenges. Show me the district that doesn't have challenges. Everything that we're experiencing isn't unique to the Virgin Islands. Every single place, articles you read, teacher shortages all over, infrastructure challenges all over. Funding is an issue all over. So we are going through the same things. But what are we saying about public education? Do we believe in public education? Have we done what we need to do to ensure that the people in the trenches have the support that they need to execute and be efficient in providing our children with the opportunities? I get very passionate when I talk about public education.
But then let me ask this question then, because I think it's safe to assert that we are in a once in a generational window where dollars should not be and isn't a problem. So you mentioned execution. That's the real issue right now, based on what residents and those who live here are seeing with the naked eye, because we've had an influx of dollars, or like I heard us saying, St. Thomas and St. John,
Funding.
Superintendent Jürgen, dollars, right? We got a whole heap of dollars, right? Right now, federal money, and of course, we paid the penalty. The penalty was Irma and Maria. That's what it started with, and then the pandemic and different challenges subsequent to that. Are we going to deliver on behalf of the people of the Virgin Islands, specifically our educators and our students?
Yes, we are. I believe that we are going to deliver. I believe that we spent the last year laying the foundation, meaning developing our individualized school improvement plans where teams sat down and looked at the data, looked at their specific student population, looked at their employees, and came up with a plan of execution that would help us to increase our student achievement, that would help us to reduce our absenteeism in our schools, will help us to encourage more parental involvement. So this year, we are pushing that plan forward. Schools have set goals. We holding the schools accountable for their goals. Principals have now been put in a place to lead. And that means leading your particular site and doing what needs to be done.
Okay, good. We'll take a break. I lost hearing here in my headphone. We'll take a break, come back, continue the discussion. We got the leadership from the Virgin Islands Department of Education, sans Assistant Commissioner Victor Sum. But we'll be back right after this. And we're back here to analyze this. We got the leadership for the Virgin Islands Department of Education here in the studio. Let me do a roll call. We got Superintendent Belton-Gonzalez for the District of St. Croix.
You got it right that time.
Good morning, Superintendent. How are you? Good
Oh,
morning.
I'm well. Thank you.
Okay,
We're doing it again. Okay.
we got Superintendent Stefan Jürgen out of St. Thomas and St. John. Good morning, Mr. Superintendent. How are you?
President, I'm doing very well. Thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much, sir. We've got the Commissioner, the top dog, calling the shots out of St. John, Dionne Wells-Hedrington. And that's DAWG. Okay, that ain't dog like a derogatory thing. That's just an affectionate term that we use here. Good morning, Commish. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. So
Good.
you got passionate there.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm passionate too. You know, people might think I was an educator, but I never taught. But my formal professional experience started in the Department of Education. I worked in the business office, first in payroll and then accounts payable. So I became acutely aware of the economics associated with the department. So you said 32 in this thing, so early 90s, right? That's when you came in, right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I got there in 89. Payroll for St. Croix, I believe, and I was thinking about this driving in, we had 2,000 employees on St. Croix, and I believe it was pretty equal on St. Thomas and St. John. How many employees at the Department of Education right now? Ballpark figure?
Ballpark, about 2,200.
See, so we're at 50%. So we've had a significant
Right.
reduction in our workforce, not just with the Department of Education, but throughout government.
Right.
Right? So population displacement has created unquestioned gaps and voids in your agency.
Yeah, so we've gone from enrollment 10 years ago about 14,000, and now we're at 10,000, maybe 100 and something like that.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
From a that's a volume standpoint. That is you're taking 4 out of 14. That's 29%
Yeah.
reduction.
Yes.
Right? That's big. And it's reflected in our census, right?
It's reflected.
Okay, good. Now, Superintendent Gonzalez, you say you worked in Arizona?
No, I was born in Arizona.
Born in Arizona?
Raised in Oklahoma, and my entire career has been in Texas. Except for I did spend a couple years in the Dominican Republic working at an American school there. I taught second grade and also English as a foreign language to teenagers and adults.
Virgin Islands, how long you been here? A month?
Yeah, right about. Right about.
One of the big issues on the mainland now is we got human rights problem in America right now. We're referring to children, immigrants, all these derogatory terms, when in reality, here in the territory as a melting pot, we know what it's like to embrace children and families from neighboring islands. We really can't relate to how they're using that issue as a political football on the mainland, because we're in the love business, we're in the hospitality business. We want people to develop as human beings. As an educator, it has to be painful to see children being used as political footballs and pawns, knowing that everybody has something to contribute at some point down the road.
Yeah, I agree, but I think.
Don't get me wrong. We have to the rules and regs and laws that we have to live within the confines of, but it's really getting. It's a personal thing now.
Well, I think as educators, though, we just have to block out all of that political stuff and just keep our mind on what we're here for. As I said, teaching and learning. And so as educators, our focus is on educating children, no matter where they come from. Our job is to educate these kids. And so I think as long as we stay grounded, we can't worry about what's going on outside in the political world. As long as we're doing our job, we're good.
Okay, so you feel good about your ability to to reconcile all of these different issues that we're dealing with, because people believe it's just children waking up, parents send them to school, they're learning a lesson, and then they're going back home, and it's a lot more complicated than that.
Right, and as educators, there's so many roles that we serve. You're a mentor, you're a nurse, confidant, psychologist. We have to serve the entire child, and sometimes that's not just academics. We also serve their social and emotional needs, and so we can try to help out as much as we can with their parents and giving them resources and making them know what's available for them. But once they hit our doors, once they come to school, we have to make sure that we educate the whole child.
Superintendent Jürgen, you want to dovetail on that?
Absolutely. As you mentioned before, we have a diminished outlook when it comes to, race relations and those things, because we are a melting pot. I love to see children interact. And I think in our schools, our children have a good relationship with each other, and we have a good relationship with them. We've come a long way. I've been in this department, and the ELL program was growing, and there was a lot of hostility in the beginning. But it's just such a joy to see those children interact, and they don't look at color. They just look at each other as people, and that's how I see them. And I want the best for every single one of them. It doesn't matter to me if they're black, white, Hispanic. It doesn't matter to me at all. And I hope that the Virgin Islands is a place where, we can just embrace people coming from different places. We look at their culture, and then, we take some of what they have, but we also share our own culture and expect them to be able to embrace things that are important to us, our morals, our values, our norms as well.
Commissioner?
I totally agree. I see people. I don't see color. And if you go back in our lineage, way down the road, my great-grandfather was from Denmark. He was white, So I don't see color. And I think that every single child deserves a right to a public education. And so we just have to push past the politics and everything else that comes into education and remain focused on why we are here. And Dr. Gonzalez said it best. We are servants. We are servants, and our customers are our parents and our students. And keeping them at the forefront will always keep us focused on our mission and vision, which is to transform today's learners into tomorrow's leaders.
Let's talk one of my favorite issues, Superintendent Jürgen. Literacy. We got the Virgin Islands, English-speaking U.S. jurisdiction in the Caribbean. Whether or not you're whether or not you're under the American flag, America runs the Western Hemisphere for the most part. A lot of the different islands may have British or French or Spanish connectivity, but the reality is America is pretty much the top. The big collar here in this part of the world. How do we get our test scores up? How do we get our children to be more literate and embrace reading? Don't be intimidated by reading, like the numbers are telling us with respect to our test scores.
Well, the numbers tell a story, and I don't know if we always interpret the story in the right way. But when it comes to literacy is the responsibility of everyone. It's not just a school responsibility. It's a home responsibility. It's a government responsibility. All of us have a hand and play a role in whether students are going to be literate in the society. So I think that it's important that we impart the importance of students being literate, sharing with them why it's important, also sharing with them that the world is ever changing, and if you don't keep up, you're going to be left behind. There's a lot of work that we have to do in our schools. We've selected the programs that we think will work best, but we have to work those programs now and give them a chance to be able to do what we know that they can. Once our teachers have the skills, our efforts have to be spent also in engaging students and making learning interesting so that they acquire the skills. As you mentioned, America is the dominant society, and we can't run from that. We have our way of doing things. We have our vernacular. It's very important to us as a people, but we also have to, teach our students they need to code switch and also to use language correctly and pronounce words correctly. And those things comes in the rudimentary lessons that we share with them about literacy.
Using big words, I mean, it's my vernacular and rudimentary and all kind of things. It sound good.
But I also wanted to drop this one piece also. And I've been sharing this because I want the public to know. The grade level in my district that has the worst attendance rate, which grade level would you say, Senator?
I know historically that we tend to lose students in the middle schools, somewhere between 7th and 9th. What's the grade?
The grade level with the worst attendance is kindergarten in my district.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's a direct message to parents. Beginnings are important. And we have this way of thinking, oh, my child is just in kindergarten. He don't have to go today. I don't feel like going to school today, so he doesn't have to go to school today. If children are behind from kindergarten, it makes it more difficult for them to be able to catch up. So I'm just sending the message to the parents that I know you have a lot of listeners, and I want you to push this issue too, because you also have a responsibility to be responsible, right?
Of course.
You got to bring your kids to school. Children need to be in school, and kindergarten is important. There are a lot of skills that you need to learn from kindergarten that you're going to lose in second, third, fourth. But if you don't have those skills honed in kindergarten, it puts you at a disadvantage. And we don't want any of our children at a disadvantage. Our system works, but we have to work the system.
We got a call on the line now. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Yes, good morning. Yes, I spoke to Commissioner Wells some time ago, and I've been trying to reach the few doctors and Mr. Jürgen, who she left on my list. I'm hopefully trying to help the islands to go towards recycling. And this would be using our 5 flag colors: red, green, blue, yellow, and white, plus adding orange. After taking the first letter from each color, we put together 2 words: grow by. Then we put the recycling symbol. Now the green dumpster will be strictly clean compost, where we should be able to generate tons of rich black soil to go back. The word is free to the schools, the farmers, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Public Works, and the new backyard farmers, hopefully to grow from the 20 or more vegetables we can grow in our climate in excess that we can now sell straight to our supermarkets, that we could be more self-reliant with our locally grown organic products. Now,
hold on a second. Let me get him to respond to recycling in general. Commish?
So the recycling is definitely a good idea. I remember as the superintendent in the St. Thomas St. John district back in 2015, we did have several schools that were selected to do the recycling. I was trying to, it's hard for me to understand the caller, but please reach back out to me again. You said you reached out to me. I don't pick up your voice because it's not where it should be, I guess. But give me a call again and let me connect you with the superintendents, because if it's a program that we can pilot throughout the territory, then we have no restrictions on doing that. So please, I do agree. One of the things that we're doing as well is bringing back our gardens in our schools. We do have an agriculture initiative that's on its way. We have a sustainability director that will be going around working on those particular projects. We want our students to be more engaged in agriculture. We want to be able to grow our products. During the storms, we lost our aquaponics areas in our schools. We want to bring some of that back. So please, if you did reach out and you didn't get any momentum, please reach out again. We definitely can get you connected to the superintendents to get that ball rolling.
Commissioner, you have to leave at 9. Can you stay a little bit longer?
For you,
Oh
I could do it.
Oh my gosh, that's why that came out. So what we'll do is we'll take a break right now, come back, we'll do a reset. At the top of the hour, we got Commissioner Dionne Wells-Hedrington from the Virgin Islands Department of Education. We've got Superintendent, what's the first name, young lady? Sharlene? Sharlene Belton-Gonzalez, originally out of the Grand Canyon State and the Sooner State, but now
I'm a Sooner. I graduated from OU.
She's a Sooner, but she also taught in the Lone Star State, and she's now here with us in Paradise. And we got Stefan Jürgen out of St. Thomas and St. John, my Scandinavian named friend from over there in Love City. We'll take a break and be back right after this.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters. The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And we're back here and Analyze This. We've got the leadership from the Virgin Islands Department of Education. We've got Commissioner Dionne Wells-Hedrington. We got Stefan Jürgen. And we've got Dr. Sharlene Belton-Gonzalez, Texas A&M Commerce.
That's for my doctorate.
That's your doctorate? You did your undergrad where?
University of Oklahoma.
In Norman?
Yes.
It's a big school.
It is. It is. It's the best school.
the best school in Norman, Oklahoma. Yes, I'm having some fun here. So,
So
I want to thank you for this extra segment. I appreciate that. I just want to put that on the record. Go ahead.
I wanted to just go back a little bit and talk a little bit more of the literacy piece.
Yeah, that's my thing. Yeah.
So, one of the things that we've identified just by looking at the data is that we're seeing trends and gaps in the early childhood years. That's from pre-K to third. As Dr. Jürgen mentioned, we have some attendance issues from those grade levels as well. Our focus is on the primary grades this year, because if we cannot get our students reading on grade level by third grade, then that gap just continues to widen.
Okay, so let me chime in. Then. Let me ask this question.
Sure.
And this is for all three of you, as former classroom instructors and having gone through the ranks. What is prohibiting your agency from having multiple reading classes on a daily basis?
Staffing.
For real?
Staffing.
No, at the first and second grade level.
You're talking about a class solely for reading
No,
alone?
no. I'm talking about, if I could recall, when I was growing up, we didn't start switching classrooms until seventh grade. If you had a first grade teacher, second grade teacher, they were responsible to teach you all the different disciplines, right? At that early level, we need to, it might sound like boot camp, but because we want the highest literacy levels, I would think that we would want multiple hours of reading at first, second, and third grade, that those early years, to make fourth, fifth, sixth, and beyond easier, because the frustration kicks in when you have literacy deficiencies. Of course, if we're working on reading, phonics, all those things that we dealt with, that would facilitate, that would assist in getting them to process what they're reading. So is there any way we could incorporate more reading classes for our students at those early levels that you're talking about?
So right now, built into our schedules, we have a literacy block. That literacy block is on average, I would say, Dr. Jürgen, you could chime in, and Dr. Gonzalez, about 90-minute or 120-minute block. During that block of time, our teachers do instruction, co-instruction, they do intervention, and then students may break out in centers. So
you got 2 hours dedicated.
Yeah, so we have the hours.
No, then you're where I would want it to be.
But what I find that we're going back to is some of the basics. So when I learned to read, when you learned to read, we looked at phonics, right? Along the way, that concept kind of shifted, where phonics was embedded, but it wasn't like a full on aggressive attack on phonics and getting our students prepared with the phonics, phonemic awareness, vocabulary development, and then bringing in comprehension. And so with the science of reading training that we just provided for our teachers, it went back to the basics. So now they've been trained, and we should be seeing the implementation of some of those basic strategies that worked in the past. And I keep saying it, we keep going to these newfangled things when they come up in education, when some of the basic foundational things that worked when we were in school need to be brought to the forefront. So that's where we are. And so when I say we're focusing on that, Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Jürgen know when they go into schools, they got to check in with those primary grades. What gets monitored gets done. If we have teachers that are not comfortable with the strategies and with the resources that we have, then it's our job to support the people. We can't continue to just walk by and accept subpar instruction. We have to be in the trenches to really help and support that work. So going back to the basics mean we tracking our children from the time they enter pre-K up to third grade, giving them the interventions when we see that skills are not being mastered, knowing what skills need to be mastered in the first 90 days, the second 90, etc., and really making sure that individual personalized plans are in place for those children. So like Dr. Jürgen said, we've invested. We have everything we need. It's just execution, monitoring, coaching, and that ongoing support that our teachers need.
And human resources.
No, well, we have our teachers. We have our teachers. I thought you meant
No, you said
making a reading class.
No, but you said we have a shortage.
Right, but we don't have a shortage in elementary like that.
Okay.
No,
okay,
it's more on the secondary level.
Superintendent Gonzalez, you wanted to chime in?
Yeah, I was just thinking too that kids just need opportunities to practice reading. So it can't just be in this one block that they're reading. They need to be reading in all contents.
Right.
They need to be reading in science. They need to be reading in math and social studies. It has to be embedded because they need those opportunities to practice. And it goes the same as writing too. They can't just be writing in their English class. There's opportunities to write in music class. There's opportunities to write in PE. It's just making sure that the teachers are implementing those activities so that kids are exposed to different opportunities.
Superintendent Jürgen?
Yeah, I know that Dr. Wells emphasized that the focus this year is on K through third, but I guess I also wanted to mention that we do have our students in, the other grades 4 through 12.
Of course.
And it's not that we're not focusing on them because we are assisting our teachers in developing their skills to enhance those other students that are not in K through third. So what we are doing in both districts, we have adopted the science of reading, and that's going to help our teachers across the board, to Dr. Gonzalez's point. In every discipline, reading should be important. Reading should be a staple across the board. And the science of reading training that we have and professional development that we're offering will assist our teachers in that area because, reading is important. You're going to use it for the rest of your life. And therefore, it needs to be a strong area that we focus on across the board.
No, one of the things that I believe, right, because remember now, students, they are in a competitive setting. Whether or not they leave the house being competitive, the last thing they want is to be looked at as abstract within the sense of a classroom. And all that, right? So, are we encouraging our students to don't be afraid to ask a question? Because, peer pressure can create situations where students believe, well, I don't want them to know that I may not know, right? But shouldn't we be telling our students, don't be afraid to ask if you don't know?
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Well, that boils down to teachers and the classroom environment that they're building. They need to be building relationships with students, and they need to know their students inside and out, what their challenges are, what they're good at, and they need to build a classroom environment where students are not afraid to take risk. And when I say afraid to take risk, afraid to speak out in front of the class and make a mistake and know that it's a safe place for them. So it boils down to the teacher and creating those environments for kids so that they feel safe to engage in everything that's going on in the class and to take risks.
So I totally agree. It's all about relationships, and we had the opportunity to visit schools on a monthly basis and meet with student councils across the territory. And you would hear the students talk about their teachers who actually have a relationship with them versus the ones that just come in and teach. And they respond differently in those types of environments. So it's all about the culture that you set within your four walls, making it a safe space and students having the ability to say, hey, I don't know. And again, it goes down to, do you really know your student? I could tell when my students, when a student doesn't know, they bow their head, they act like, they don't want you to see them, don't call on me. and not creating environments that highlight a student's deficiency, but providing opportunities for them to thrive. One of the things that I did as a classroom teacher, I knew every child. I come from St. John, we know everybody, right? But I also knew their strengths and their weaknesses. And what I would do is always give my students an opportunity to showcase that strength, even though we were addressing the weaknesses. But again, that only comes from understanding and having a relationship with your students. So that's where it really begins.
Civics, VI history, that's
Hot topic.
yeah, it's a hot topic, but it's a good topic.
A good
though.
topic.
You know, I think people run from issues that may be controversial, but they're also educational,
Of
right?
course.
So, are we going to get VI history into our curriculum as mandated pursuant to law?
Yes, we definitely will. When I first came into this role, I met with Dr. Larson. Dr. Larson had several projects on his table. And part of his biggest struggle was getting, the assistance of other social studies teachers across the territory to sit down and really work with him on the workbooks and on the new civic textbook that we are about to launch. Actually, it's in production right now, so that's further along than the workbooks. But yes, it remains
with our
a
rich
focus.
history, VI history should not be a problem as it relates to content, quantitative and qualitative.
Right. So the workbooks will help the teachers to have a structured guide. I do feel that, and Dr. Jürgen, you would be able to comment as Dr. Gonzalez is just new to the territory. But we do have pockets of infusion of culture within our schools. It's not just one set curriculum. And I think that we got to standardize how we do it. We got to also make sure that, for example, our international teachers, when they come, they have to do VI history course, but making sure that we support them too, because
But we got more than enough local history books. Raja,
Right.
I found out about Raja Hill's book
Right.
from back in the day. We got Judge Willacks.
we got Judge Willacks in our schools.
The biblical code.
So
and stuff.
we do have it on the upper grade level. So that's why Dr. Lawson was focusing on the workbooks for the elementary level. So
But the Raja Hill book ain't an elementary level book, or that's a.
I don't. I'm
You're
not sure.
You're not familiar with that one?
No,
Yeah,
I'm
when
not
you
sure.
get a chance.
I'll look.
Hey, Steph, if I could call you that. Hey, Steph.
Hey,
Check out the Raja Hill book.
Okay.
Raja Hill, I think he was
I will.
he was a senator, I think, for a term or two, but he was also a teacher, I believe, at high school. And he wrote a book. I found out about it earlier this year or late last year. So check out his book. He was a history teacher, I think, right? Valdemar Hill brother, I believe, right?
Okay.
So check that one out, okay?
I will.
Yeah, check that one out. That could be a good book that we could look at. Plus, we got other books as well. We've had some great Dr. Highfield. Dr. Highfield at UVI, he had written some books. So I think we got some potential here in the Virgin, because our history rich. As a matter of fact, I was on Twitter this morning. A lady was asking, why do we claim Alexander Hamilton when he was born in Nevis? And I had to let her know his formal education was here on St. Croix, and it was actually in St. Croix where he made contact with his mainland fellow Hercules Milligan.
But,
And that's
but how could we not claim him?
I don't know.
It was his home.
But that's all history. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not knocking her.
Right.
What I'm saying is everything is a learning and a teaching situation. So can't blame her, because she was actually in Nevis and she showed a picture where they had Alexander Hamilton birthplace, Nevis birthplace of Alexander Hamilton. You can't blame her, right? So she was just curious as to why we are claiming him when in fact it's a similar situation with the Democratic candidate, right? Her mom is from India and her dad's from Jamaica. You could be both. You know what I'm saying? So we good. We're good in that regard. Let me ask this question to all three of you, starting with Miss Sooner from Oklahoma. You feel good about the prospects for education in the Virgin Islands?
Yes, there's lots of potential. I've been in classrooms, and from day one, I've gone into classrooms and just have been trying to observe what's going on. and I just see where I can hope to add on and to just make it a little bit better. But there's already some great things going on. I've popped into classrooms where people didn't know that I was going to be showing up, and I've seen some excellent things going on. One of the things I look for when I go into classrooms is that kids have the opportunity to engage with each other, that they have the opportunity to speak with each other and use academic language. And I went into a school actually with the commissioner, and we saw kids in groups. The teacher was teaching her heart out, and kids were excited to be there. They were raising their hands. They wanted to be the first one to be able to respond to some questions. And then also yesterday I went out to going to different schools and going in classrooms. And so I've seen a lot of great things going on. And there's always room for improvement. No matter what you do, you can always be better. And so I'm excited about being here and having a positive impact on education in the Virgin Islands.
Time running out. You feel good, Mr. Scandinavian?
I do feel good. You know, one of the things that has motivated me is I keep in contact with my students, and even when they leave us and they go to college, they reach back, and just based on how they share with you, how they're traversing and how they're making out, I'm very much encouraged by that.
You're coming back. You're coming back
across the nation.
You're coming back to the show sometime soon.
I will. I sure will.
Okay, good thing. And Commissioner sent you the book.
Yes, I saw that.
Clear the road, right?
Yes.
So Wallace Williams, give Wallace Williams a shout out there. He's the one. Plug your Commissioner's Corner real quick.
All right. On Tuesdays at 5:30, we're here at the Commissioner's Corner, where we bring to you the updates from the Virgin Islands Department of Education. Stay tuned. We will be back on Analyze This, and thank you for the opportunity.
Y'all were great guests this morning. Thank you very much. Stefan Jürgen, since you are using vernacular and them kind of thing, I had to throw in quantitative and qualitative.
Yeah.
Just to let you know that I could talk at your Ivy League level.
No, but you're slipping in good, you know.
Thank you very much to all of you. Distinguished Virgin Islands, you're one of us now.
I am. This is home.
Whether you like it or not.
I love it.
With your sooner self, you are Virgin Island now. We'll take a break. Thank you very much to the leadership of the Department of Education. Be back right after this. Thank you, ladies.